Welcome to Sparks of History, where world history and Jewish history meet. We are very pleased to have with us today award-winning author Susan Ronald. Ms. Ronald's books include Conde Nast, A Dangerous Woman, Hitler's Art Thief, Heretic Queen, and today we will be discussing The Ambassador, Joseph P. Kennedy at the Court of St. James, 1938 to 1940. Lawrence Leamer, the best-selling author of The Kennedy Women, has acclaimed The Ambassador to be an indispensable book that will change forever the way we think about the Kennedy family. It's a highly researched and entertaining book. I urge all our listeners and viewers to go on to Amazon, as I did, and purchase it. Get started. Again, thank you very much, Ms. Ronald. To begin with, a little bit about your background and how you became interested in Joseph P. Kennedy.
Okay, well, as you'll hear from the American accent, I was born in America and I lived there actually less time than I've now lived in England. I went to university in France and the United States, basically coming out with a degree that wasn't worth very much other than the fact that I spoke French. So I, of course, started work for a French company in New York. And they had nobody there who could handle whatever it was that they wanted to be done. It was actually part of Air France at the time. It was Meridian Hotels. And basically, I got promoted through the ranks very quickly, and I was in charge of North American Treasury, which got me into corporate finance. That's how I met my husband. And we set up a boutique corporate finance company in London. He's British, I should say, not American. We worked for over 20 years together. I was mostly in project finance, working for, I think it was 5 British government departments, basically trying to find alternate uses for historic properties and putting the funds together for that. So I understand money and the movement of money. All of my books have one common thread running through them. I always wanted to be an author, by the way, but my parents said, you'll never earn a living. It's not as much as corporate finance, but it'll do. But I really, really wanted to write. And I wrote my first book when I was still working full time. And what do we do about that pinging? I can't get it to unping.
It's fine. It's fine. Okay. Just continue. It's
okay. Essentially, I had my dream come true and I started to write full time and had got an agent in New York and basically had determined I was going to write about the Tudors, believe it or not. And I wrote about 2 books on Queen Elizabeth. I was going to write a 3rd one when reality took over. I was working in corporate finance still for the British government when I came across the Gurlitt treasure trove in a vault in Switzerland. This is 1998. I tried to get my agent to believe me. Nobody believed me. 15 years later, the story broke, and that catapulted me into World War II. And once I was there, I just couldn't resist. There's so many stories that cut across my own heritage, that cut across the links between America and Britain, and also the disputes between America and Britain. And I just thought I was best placed to write all of these various stories. Joe Kennedy, my interest in Joe Kennedy, actually my interest goes back to, believe it or not, the famous election between Jack Kennedy and Richard Nixon. Shortly afterwards, now I was a very young girl at this point. I mean, very young, growing up in California. But shortly afterwards, I was playing in the woods behind my girlfriend's house with a number of other girls. And I didn't know Richard Nixon was there. And his house was the other side of the woods. And we started to laugh at him, as young girls would do, as young kids would do, say, ha, 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 you lost the election. And he started throwing oranges at us. Okay, big story. The parents got all upset. He had to apologize. But essentially, from that moment, suddenly Jack Kennedy was everything in my brain that was good. And of course, when he was assassinated, I started to look into the family generally. But when I went to write this book, and this is, all of my books have a seed of the next book in them. When I was writing, believe it or not, Conde Nast, I found that Kennedy was friendly with Conde Nast, which went completely against anything that I had believed about Nast, because he was absolutely not an anti-Semite. He was not somebody who took against someone because they were gay. He just embraced everybody. He was really, truly a lovely, lovely man. And so I said, well, how could he be friendly with Kennedy? And I was going to write about Joe Winant, who was Kennedy's successor. Sorry, John Winant, or John Gilbert Winant. And then the Kennedy story was just so compelling. I just couldn't believe that a man who had based much of his past on lies and untruths could rise to such an important and exalted station. I've met a lot of very wealthy and powerful individuals, but nobody quite like Joe Kennedy. So it just, and I wanted to do the small bit of Joe in the UK, because it really hadn't been written about, despite all the biographies. There's 17 or 18 other biographies, but no one concentrated on this. So that's why I did it.
Excellent.